Hey guys, it's Shawn here from the Gold Dang Bros Gaming, bringing you a special edition interview with Brooke English, a player, trainer, and friend of mine that we see at a bunch of events, semi-local, not completely local, but big cups and now we'll see them. We just came back from the Full Grip Games GLC Cash event. It was a whole doubleheader weekend, but our main focus here is Brooke's run at the GLC event. So, Brooke, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little bit of time to introduce yourself to the fans out there, and then we'll get into our questions.
Great. So, hi everyone. My name is Brooke English. I'm a Pittsburgh area player. I've been playing for about 2 years now. It kind of started around Paldea Evolved. Um, this was my I'm taking things less seriously season. But I've had two back-to-back top eights at the Full Grip GLC events,
Hmm.
and in standard, I've maxed out my local points and gotten my first day two at a regional.
Awesome.
So pretty happy with how the season's going, all things considered. I love Psychic Pokemon.
Hmm.
Um, so I played Psychic GLC this weekend, and I honestly just cannot see myself playing any other type for the foreseeable future.
I understand that. I feel that sentiment exactly. Anybody that knows me, I'm all about the my jungle titans. So I have not put grass down for 2 years. So trust me, I understand. Congratulations on getting your day two. Even though it was a take it easy season,
Thank
that's
you.
gotta feel good. I know that's every player's dream is to day two. They feel accomplished once that happens. I've seen a lot of players get their first day twos. Seen a lot of players consistently get day twos, and it's still a good feeling.
Hmm.
So, GLC, let's talk about your run. First off, like you alluded to, you played a psychic. There's a couple different psychic builds out there. So, if you want to go into a little bit about what your psychic build is, and then we'll put it up here to a link so people can see your post, so they'll be able to actually see the image after
Great.
this.
Yeah. So the archetype of psychic that I play is called Crispin Monkey Dory. It was created by Z-Man Cuddles, who has created a lot of awesome GLC lists and archetypes. Um, and the general idea behind it is using Crispin, which we've seen be incredibly powerful in standard,
Mm-hmm.
and use that in combination with Monkey Dory in GLC to be able to get the dark energy onto Monkey Dory while also starting to power up other attackers. It's different from other psychic archetypes in that, like, especially like I kind of think of like the full grip kind of psychic
Mm-hmm.
archetypes. No Dusknoir here. Just not enough deck space, honestly. The Crispin and Monkey package does take up a few slots with the Dark Energy, the Crispin, the Monkey. Um, so that's one big difference. Um, yeah, and no Togekiss, unfortunately. I
Okay,
do think
yeah.
the Cursed Kiss deck is very funny. Flipping coins, trying to take those extra prizes, but not here. Just trying to use Giratina. Um, you know, oh man, I'm blanking on the attack name.
It's
But
okay.
it puts 4 damage counters on your Pokemon,
It's
and
okay.
so
Like I
just
said, and then we'll have everything in a attachment down there,
yeah.
and I can also put a little addition on there so people can see what we're talking about. Iron Boulder. So I've seen that added into so many psychic lists. Before we go into the rest of your matchups, that's one thing I got written down in my notes. I faced that thing and I was like, all right, cool. So I just don't have to have the same hand. It didn't matter because they made you have the same hand. So that was definitely one tech I didn't see coming. See that you had that in your list. Did that prove to be exactly as it was meant to be?
Yeah, I owe Iron Boulder an apology. I was a longtime hater. I was seeing lists with people playing Boulder. They were playing, your typical N, Iono,
Hmm.
Marnie kind of hand disruption. But then you get into Judge. Then you get into Red Card, Reset Stamp,
Hmm.
Judge Whistle to get back your Judge. And it's just like, that's just too much. That's too
Yeah.
much for me. And I was worried about playing it in a deck that, like you said, well, they make you
Hmm.
do it.
Exactly.
Um, and I was worried about playing it in a deck that didn't have all those options to kind of match hand size. But I really found it a lot easier than I expected to just
Okay.
naturally match hand size. Of course, there's playing cards out of your hand if your opponent has fewer cards in hand, but refinement, clairvoyant sense, buddy
There's
catch,
so
mysterious
much.
tale mew,
There's
all those
so
things
much.
put cards into your hand.
Hmm.
And so just being able to have those options available makes it a lot smoother. And it's got a lot of relevant stats. 140 HP, that's 130 HP is a huge threshold
That's the
in
threshold.
GLC. Yeah, and so being above that just makes it so much tougher
Yeah. So,
for your opponents to deal with.
Brooke, you know about my Jungle Titans. I've raved about it. I tend to get above that buffer, so it makes it a lot harder for other players to really hit that number. And when building a GLC, and I've talked to Tiger about this, the magic number is 120 is okay, but if you can get over 130, 140 for your single prize attack, well, if they're all single prizes, but your non-evolved attacker, basic attacker that has an attack that really pumps the energy, the synergy of the deck, it can be phenomenal. So I mean, I
Hmm.
feel like Iron Boulder was definitely a unsung hero in the GLC tournament for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting into the run. So what I got here is you went an astounding 5-0, correct?
Hmm.
And then ID'd in the sixth round, went into round seven, played it out, and got into the top eight. We'll get into that. My biggest notes on this was the psychic dominance. So I mean, you went up against three psychic decks, and just obviously didn't matter what they were running. Were they anything different? Was it difficult? I mean, kind of go into your run a little bit with me.
Yeah, so the psychic matchups, they were all a little bit different. Um, my first opponent was kind of playing they're playing Dusk Noir, kind of again like kind of using like the full grip archetype,
Yeah.
kind of like Ben Morse's list. So kind of that archetype. He told me that he normally plays water, but he felt like psychic was just too strong for the tournament, and
Hmm.
so he wanted to play that. And I think you know, I think the theme for my matchups against Psychic was I've just been on Psychic for so long.
Hmm.
I've been playing this deck. I've been playing this archetype for even before the 1K. So just having that kind of um, deck awareness and
Hmm.
being able to identify, okay, that's a weak point that I can exploit here. You know, here's something that I can do that will make it hard for my opponent to have a response. Because I know I hate it when my opponents do that to me.
Hmm.
So
No, understanding and card knowledge is huge. And one thing again, I keep going back to my co-host Tiger. He's been a super help for me to change how I play my GLC, even though he doesn't, because he has a wealth of card knowledge that even though I've been in the game for a while, I was a TO turn judge, and I've always said that. So like my card knowledge is limited because I was in the game to help the league run and wasn't really as competitive until recently. And now I'm digging back to that card knowledge and some of that stuff I just don't have. Players like you that have been playing that psychic archetype for such a long time, probably lining up to these psychics, you probably, oh yeah, I remember trying this one out. They're gonna do this, 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 this. I need to do this, 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 this. Am I
yeah,
correct in that assumption?
exactly.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was getting with when I looked at this and I saw that. Was there any of those other matchups that were extremely hard during your run?
The round two aggro water
Okay,
was
I
really
a buddy of mine in local league, Jacob Williams, built that and helped me test with it. His is kind of funky, and I really like it. But yeah, we played two sets, and I only won one game. He was helping me prep for this before, and yeah, it was aggro. So yeah, I want to hear how was this aggro water matchup?
so this the aggressive decks are one of the harder matchups for this deck. This is a deck that really likes to set up.
Hmm.
It likes to get its basics out. It likes to get its stage ones out. It likes to get the galley out, and then kind of just post through that consistent energy acceleration. Tutoring out the exact support that you need for any situation on any turn.
Hmm.
That is where the deck is most powerful. And if you've got a Vanguard Punch Palafin smacking you 130 every turn, it's tough.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of what made that matchup a little tough. Is not just, and I think that's something that like I've had to really get used to with this deck. Is it's like, and I think this is the case for a lot of GLC decks.
Hmm.
If you can get all your pieces into play, then it's smooth
Oh yeah,
sailing.
100.
But it's working around, oh, my Malamar's prized. It's working around, oh, my opponent knocked out my Curlia. It's working around, how can I play the game without the ideal setup?
Hmm.
And so I think this matchup in particular really pushes that. And so it was a really close game. I wasn't I had a fully set up at one point. I had a fully set up Tina on the bench, but I wasn't able to get my Mew out of the active, so I missed the knockout there early in the game. My opponent had a really good Hex Maniac.
Hex is
Normally I'm pretty
tough.
good. I know. Normally I'm pretty good at preparing for my opponent to have Hex, but that game I just couldn't. I couldn't have it ready. Um, and it came down to turns, and my opponent did a really great job of like putting me in a position where I had to have something,
Hmm.
and I was able to thin out my deck enough between Mysterious Tail, between Pokegear, grab a supporter, Buddy Catch, take another supporter out of my deck, and then just research for the rest of my cards. And I had exactly Mimikyu, Psychic Energy, Dimension Valley,
All the
and that was
necessary sequencing. Sounds
it. Was
correct.
if like you could not have asked me to take another prize, I would not have been able to take another prize, but I took my sixth.
There you go.
Yeah, and unfortunately in that matchup, they played the 40 HP Staryu, the one with free retreat,
Okay, I've
and
seen
that
it.
yeah, and that's you use Distortion Door on Giratina, put a damage counter on it, and then you move 3 damage counters with Adrenabrain, and
Hmm.
oh,
Oh
that's a
man,
free prize for you. Yeah,
monkey
and
is
it
huge.
right, it's so, and it's tough when you might not be familiar playing against it, or more likely, I think he was just trying to draw an extra card off of Abyssal Hand,
Hmm.
and he's like, I need to get my cards out so I can, and it's just yeah, tough
Gotcha.
tough spot.
Tough spot for sure. Speaking of tough spots, obviously you found yourself in the top eight after your psychic win in round seven. Top eight against Ursa Control. I didn't see any this weekend. The first 1K back in April, I believe it was April, Journey Together release weekend. I saw Ursa Control. I didn't know what was going on, and I was prey to it. That's my own fault for not doing my research and knowing it was going. I got in a steady loop where I wasn't able to pretty much do anything. I run on abilities, everything was getting lost zone. I was just I kind of ended up scooping because there was just no way. Kind of not an upset flip table scoop, but I just wasn't. I needed to know more. So going in the top eight, Ursa Luna Control. Let's hear that matchup. I feel like that's another important one.
Yeah. So I had played against Colorless Control, I think, one time before. Um, and it was like last year at a regional.
Hmm.
And I was not playing this version of the deck. And I think this was also before the printing of Fan Rotom.
I would assume
So
so. Yeah, Fan Rotom
yeah,
changed that whole thing.
right. Yeah. And so I think it was a little bit of both. It was a little bit of unfamiliarity with what my opponent was capable of, and I didn't have great draws that match,
It
unfortunately.
happens.
Yeah, it happens, and honestly, I was a little due for some bad draws. Um, but yeah, I mean, just like some minor things, like game one, I went first. I had Battle VIP pass. Wobbuffet was available, but I had no way to get the Inkay out of the active,
Hmm.
and so my opponents got to use Fan Rotom, get their whole setup going, and I just I floundered a little bit. I got my guys into play, but I just didn't have access to the attackers I would normally use. Mimikyu and Giratina were both prized, and I think those are super important in the matchup because Giratina can just feed your own board with damage
Oh,
counters to like
100%.
target. Like Airmail Pidgeotto has 60 HP. Like that's two Adrenabrains.
It's not that hard to reach that.
Right, with those Adrenabrains, but just needing to get into it and just
Hmm.
not being able to. Um, One change that I did make to the deck is including the Iron Boulder. And
Hmm.
while the Iron Boulder was really great, tired you through Swiss. it is not great for that matchup because the alternate option is the Luster Purge Latios, which does 180 damage. And so being able to just take out the Ursaluna as long as it doesn't have the cape with one attacker, no damage mods, no monkey damage, nothing needed, it's huge.
Hmm.
But just not. Yeah, so that was something that was like definitely like I would run back to 60 in a heartbeat, but it was definitely did not serve me well
Well,
that particular decision in the
and
top eight.
as we know, this format has been growing. We've seen Full Grip be, the spearhead on having these larger tournaments on release weekends, pairing it with a standard, and it's proved successful. I've worked, volunteered, for them the past two times. I will again volunteer my services next time for the standard and play in the GLC. So I mean, at least now looking forward, running with your list now, we can see how Ursaluna Control does, and maybe next time you face it, we have a little bit better of a shot.
Yeah, that's the hope.
That's the hope, right? So my last thing revolving around your run at Full Grip before we move on to other things is how did this compare to the previous 1K in tournament overall, in your play, whatever's on the top of your mind? How does these compare?
I was pretty nervous coming into this one. The last one, it was very much oh, this is fun, it's drivable, I'd love to play there. I then wound up making top eight.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back, like trying to make the run again, having some kind of like, oh man, like what if I don't do well? Some of those like kind of mental game things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think ultimately just the I only know this deck more than I did before. And
Gotcha.
I think last time, even with colorless dominating the metagame, you know, I felt so much more prepared going into this,
Okay.
especially, honestly, I was expecting more dragon than psychic,
Me
but
too.
I
I
know,
was
but
actually, I don't know. I'm going to talk about it on a podcast when we get into my section of it. I prepared for Dragon, had Shaman and everything because I got that the baby bolt. I didn't realize what it did at the last full grip 1K. And the one matchup I had that was really good there, I got baby bolted on my Bulbasaur way early. And then they did it again on my Grookey, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't protect these guys. So I
yeah,
got Shaman, had to not beg and plead, but got some people to help hook me up because I have not got much Destin rivals. But got the Shaman, didn't really even need it because I expected to line up against the Dragon and be like, oh, I need to get Shaman ASAP. It was not the case.
yeah, yeah. But I did feel prepared for the psychic matchup, even though like I I'm really the only psychic player in my local metagame.
Mhm.
We don't have a huge GLC scene, but we got some people playing.
Mhm.
But really, I'm kind of it. So the psychic mirror was not something that I've played a ton, but again, I think just kind of knowing my side of the table, having played different archetypes, and just kind of knowing like just being able to pick up like what is my opponent trying to do.
Exactly. And that actually leads me really well into the next thing is what appeals to you about GLC? Like we talked about earlier, I get to play my favorite guy, Grookey. Haven't put him down for 2 years. Love the deck to death. It's just got a huge target on his back. Like you literally said earlier, if I can get set up, it is scary when you're looking at something that's 240 HP because of all the buffs. With Jungle Totem, it's doubling the energy, so I'm swinging for upteenth amount of damage. And then once you knock me out, I just relive that thing again and switch it back out and do it all over again. But getting there is the tough part. And then I also like
Yeah,
to collect the older cards. It gives me, as a judge who's at all these tournaments, when you're surrounded by plushies and things from Japan and Pokemon Center, you can be so enveloped in all these things you want to buy. But for me, I like to do like a treasure hunt, as I call it. I look for the cards that appeal to me. Like Cynthia, for example, is a very expensive full art card. But I got a staff one from an international a couple years ago, $20, $30 card. I'm happy with it. And then maybe if I fall into the full art, I fall into the full art. But what brings you into GLC? Obviously a play, of course, but like there's got to be some other things.
right. So there is a lot that I love about the format. My girlfriend Edelgard got me into Pokemon just in general. but she was playing GLC, and she was kind of like helping me find some types that might be interesting. Um, I played a lot of Lost Zone Giratina in Standard, um, probably too much. I basically played that deck until it rotated.
I mean,
Um,
it was solid for a while.
it
If
was
you were good
solid.
with it, I know a kid that played that deck all season. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
He's a senior now. He was a junior. Played it all season and had multiple top finishes because minimal changes. The matchups didn't change. All he had to do was, oh, this is a new archetype. Let me run some games against this. What do I need to do? But again,
right.
I didn't mean to interrupt, so I'm sorry.
No, I mean, hey, that's exactly what my experience was.
hmm
It was a deck that I knew super well. It eventually became a rogue matchup. So even like bad matchups, like I would hit Lugia at a regional, and my opponent would be like, "Oh, I don't know what to do against you." I'm like, "Sweet, because I know what to do against you." Like, yeah. So I think this is not the same. Obviously there is the Lost Zone Psychic
Yeah.
archetype, but I have played that. But this has got Giratina in it, which I love. It's one of my favorite Pokemon, and playing Lost Zone Tina only made that love grow more. So I love getting to play one of my favorite Pokemon. I love collecting the cards too. I'm very proud of what my deck looks like right now.
I when you get a chance to watch this, all the viewers out there, make sure you take a look at the link down there.
Yeah,
I'll post Brooke's list. It is blingy for sure.
yeah, but in some ways, it's a little bit like you. It's like
hmm
I don't want to go for max rarity. I want to go for this is my preferred
hmm
printing of this card. I love that you get to play foreign cards. I love that you can play signed cards.
hmm
Spence and I swapped Crispins. Like
I
he
saw
signed my
that.
Crispin and I signed his, and I've got signed Crispin. I've got the Japanese Wobbuffet. It's got the hearts on the reverse
hmm
hollow. The Japanese exclusive Cosmo Hollow e-reader energies.
Yeah.
I love the
What?
e-reader energies. I'm sad they never got a foil in like the West, but like I mean they came out in a McDonald's promo pack in 2003. Like
No one thought
thanks
the.
McDonald's. Like hashtag not sponsored.
But either way, I mean, where else can you play those cards? You go to a standard tournament and
Nowhere.
it's like, yeah, you can max rate a deck, but how much are you really spending and are you really wanting to play it like that? I mean, or, like I said, you can't really play a lot of these cards that you've maybe gathered a collection of. Jacob Williams, again, another shout out to a buddy of mine. He's a huge collector in the area. He'll always let us borrow cards, but he doesn't sell them because he wants collections and he has my like it's similar to your psychic deck whenever we were playing in practice. I'm like, dude, I'm not picking up to read it. I'm picking up just to look at it. I'm like, wow, I haven't seen that in years.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I really like how slow the format moves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Part of why I kind of took the season a bit easier is because I've just been really busy with work.
Yeah,
And
understandable.
I have a very full life, and I'm very happy with the way that my life is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, even just keeping up with standard can be a bit much.
It
You
can.
know, regionals, ICs, just things keep
Special
changing so
events.
quickly.
I mean, just
Right.
because
And I
that's
just
this year's that's what you had to do to stay in contention. If, for example, if me and Tiger didn't go to Puerto Rico, I obviously was just playing for fun, but that top placement was key for him to get to where he's at now going into NAIC.
Yeah. And so it's just something that like with the way that my life is right now, I don't feel like I can be super competitive in standard, but I feel like I can do it in GLC.
hmm
I can stick with this archetype for I mean, I guess unless something gets banned,
I
but
mean, yeah. I mean, we do
I see
have a
no reason to
banned
change
list,
right
but
now.
there isn't. I mean, most recent ban was the double turbo or the energies for colorless. There's another one I can foresee, and I'm gonna talk about it in my podcast because we're gonna see if I can play some cards to make it happen. I don't want to do it to break the game, but actually, as a judge, that's it's kind of fun, like treating it like a test. A little tidbit here: it's Cipher and Mallow. They're the same exact
Hmm.
card. They do the same exact thing. So I'm gonna see if I can't find a deck that I can make those two work together. to be like, yeah, these just, shouldn't play. And that's not in a bad way. It's not to break the game. It's just kind of to have fun. And if it
Yeah,
works, it works. But
yeah.
what's next for Brooke English? That's our final question here on this wonderful interview. And again, thank you for joining me.
Well, I'm gonna keep playing Pokemon. I know that for sure. Um, have to see what standard looks like, what my job looks like this next season.
Mm-hmm.
Things should be lightening up a little bit, so maybe gonna be able to get out to more regionals than I did
Mm-hmm.
this year. Um, love to keep playing GLC. I love being 2 hours away from Akron, Ohio.
Right, right.
Uh, I don't know if we know what the September set's gonna be,
We
but
don't, but I'm already planning to be there. As soon as I see it hit full grip, I'm gonna hit Natalie up and Andrew and let them know, hey, I'm available if you want to judge. I mean,
yeah,
and definitely let me know if you have GLC because I will pump it up on our channel. Hopefully, our channel's grown since then, and maybe I can drag more people into this fun format that we enjoy.
yeah, absolutely. You know, maybe go for the three-peat.
Hey,
See if we can make it happen.
that would be awesome. A three-peat in the top eight for Brooke English. You heard it here, folks. So
I'll
if
figure out how to win cut. I'll figure out how to win and cut.
that's what I'm gonna hold you to. That we're gonna have to strategize. If we have to meet up sometimes and work on some GLCs, I should be building my library up with. Like I said, Tiger's willing to play, and with Full Grip doing this, they may set a precedent for more stores to do larger cash tournaments. I'm always gonna be on the lookout for them. Maybe that's something that happens in the future. Regionals, they're beginning a lot bigger too. I know that's more for prize points and stuff, but that's only leading to the growth of the format.
Absolutely.
But here on the show, we always have a sign out where we say stay lucky. So I want everybody out there to stay lucky.